Hello and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Trade finance, a new day. Okay guys, we've got just yet another reason why Hedera has such a promising future ahead of itself. Trade finance, another huge industry that Hedera and HBAR can revolutionize. And so this again, when I look at this kind of stuff, it's just one other avenue. And the more avenues you've got, the more possible routes you've got to success, right? And so this is why when I talk about Hedera, I just feel so comfortable because I don't know any other networks that have such diverse use cases and utility. Like there's so many things that you can use HBAR for. And I've said it before, but I already think just tokenization alone will be huge for Hedera. So just on that use case alone, I'm very comfortable with my investment in HBAR. But when I start looking at these other avenues as well and seeing what HBAR can do and how Hedera can change these other industries that are also huge industries, I just get even more confident, right? Because I'm like, well, man, it's not like you've got to necessarily be the master of these industries. If you're just getting pieces of each industry, that's still going to lead to overall huge network growth, right? Because all these industries are still utilizing Hedera. So even if it's not the main player, as long as it's getting a piece of the pie, that's all it needs. Because these are all huge industries that we're talking about. We're talking about billions and trillions of dollars. So if Hedera is getting that kind of action from all these different industries, well, yeah, surely that would mean it's going to have long-term viability and success, right? So I see this kind of stuff and I'm just like, yeah, looking very positive from my opinion. So I've got this article here that kind of goes into this a little bit further. I'm not going to read the whole article because it is quite long-winded. Obviously you guys can feel free to check it out if you do want to see the whole thing. I'll let you know where it is later on. But I have got like specific points that I want to just go to. So I'll obviously address these main points so you can get the gist of what we're talking about here. And then obviously I'll just give you my thoughts towards the end of this video. So let's get into the article and then we can discuss this a little bit further. New technologies are reshaping how goods and services are tracked around the world and opening new options for financing global trade. There's a lot wrong with global trade these days. War, protectionism, supply chain bottlenecks, and terrorism. And that's before even considering climate change and the possibility of future lockdowns. I've just changed that last word as I don't want to get any issues with the video, but I'm sure you get what we're talking about there. But there's also much that's right. Emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, in brackets AI, blockchain, and the Internet of Things, in brackets IoT, are helping to optimize shipping routes and track deliveries in real time. While regulatory developments like the UK's 2023 Electronic Trade Documents Act, in brackets ETDA, presage a new era in which digital bills of lading and invoices replace age-old paper documents. The new era. Digitalization will be crucial if international trade and finance are to move into the 21st century. Most agree. Indeed, in the past half year, some of the world's largest financial institutions, Standard Chartered, JP Morgan, Citibank, and the Bank of America, among others, have announced trade finance initiatives, often with fintech partners, aimed at accelerating this digitalizing process. JP Morgan, for example, recently made a strategic investment in ClearEye.ai, developer of an AI tool that dramatically reduces the time it takes humans to review trade finance documents, slashing the time from 3 hours to about 10 minutes, according to the bank. Elsewhere, Citibank and Maersk have partnered to develop the digital equivalent of bills of lading and bank guarantees. Quote, Digital asset technologies have the potential to upgrade the regulated financial system by applying new technologies to existing legal instruments and well-established regulatory frameworks, unquote, said Shamir Khalik, Global Head of Services at Citi in the September announcement. Many believe that if these new initiatives and others like them come to fruition, trade finance could become democratized, bringing in many small and mid-sized enterprises in brackets SMEs that have historically struggled to secure the small, short-term loans required to engage in overseas commerce. But challenges remain, including escalating trade tensions, an attachment to paper documents and processes harking back before the clipper ship era and even medieval times, and the reluctance on the part of many players themselves, shippers, for example, to share trade data with competitors even if it translates to greater overall efficiency and profits. Change is sorely overdue. Quote, "If ever there was a moment that trade finance is ripe for disruption or transformation, it is now," unquote. Eno Berghard-Wheatsall, SVP for Strategic Digitalization and Business Development at trade finance solutions provider Circump, tells Global Finance. Quote, "Current trade finance systems are fragmented, siloed, and leave the tail end of the market chronically under-addressed," unquote, adds Shane Higdon, co-founder and CEO of the HBAR Foundation. Indeed, an electronic bill of lading, the trade document that lists a shipment's source, contents, and destination, quote, could save $6.5 billion in direct costs and enable $40 billion in global trade, unquote, says McKinsey & Company. Quote, "While the banking and aviation industries have implemented digital standards enabling automated trade systems, shipping has not matured far beyond where it was in the 1400s, unquote, McKinsey notes. Protecting one's intellectual property. There are non-political obstacles that could hinder trade finance transformation too. On the micro level, companies often want to safeguard their intellectual property, even if it's no more than an anonymous transactions recorded on a distributed digital ledger or private blockchain. Quote, "Everybody wants to protect their information," unquote, says the DSCI's Muma. Quote, "I don't want to disclose to you any manufacturing activities for today," unquote, for instance. Quote, "Because if you know that I'm running at 20% of capacity, you're going to negotiate me down," unquote. Will regulators accept digital documents? Regulators too will have to climb on board if trade finance is to be transformed. Quote, "Despite more than 15 years of effort, the digitalization of bills of lading in brackets BL transactions remains limited," unquote, notes FinTech Trade Finance Global, adding that, quote, "The wide range of the regulatory and local practices surrounding BLs on a global scale creates challenges," unquote. The promise of tokenization. Looking ahead, some banks and fintechs are experimenting with tokenization, which would take trade finance into still more uncharted waters. Tokenization is the process of converting ownership of or rights to real-world assets into digital tokens that can then be recorded, tracked, and even added on a distributed digital ledger, in brackets, often a blockchain, which is a form of distributed ledger technology. Almost anything can be tokenized, including real estate, physical art, carbon credits, and even SMEs receivables. Quote, "Tokenization combined with the programmability of smart contracts, in brackets that run on blockchains, simplifies trade finance," unquote, says HBAR's Higdon. In time, it might allow, quote, "farmers and SMEs to focus more time on their core business rather than how to fund themselves appropriately," unquote. An industry, quote, "on the cusp," unquote. Much work lies ahead. However, quote, "enhancing interoperability among diverse organizational systems such as banks, shipping companies, and insurance firms, achievable through blockchain technology," unquote, will be a, quote, "crucial aspect," unquote, in the transformation process, says LGR Global's Altonen. Others suggest a metamorphosis is underway, and probably can't be stopped. Quote, we will see major changes in platforms and adoption of platforms soon. It could be as early as 3 years, unquote, predicts Muma. It could have all sorts of interesting consequences. For instance, online trade finance platforms accessible to new players could eventually help to, quote, diminish the famous trade finance gap, unquote, in brackets, the deficit in financing between emerging and developed markets, says Injikian. Quote, we are on the cusp of seeing digitalization of the entire supply chain, including logistics, customs, bills of lading, and yes, trade financing, unquote, concludes Muma. A fintech called Azark, for example, has already reduced some customs clearances from 2 or 3 days down to a few minutes. Overall, he adds, quote, it's going to be profound, unquote. Okay guys, okay, really interesting stuff here, really interesting stuff. So, let's just get into a few points in terms of what they were saying. So, one of the first things I do just want to point out is the shout out to tokenization, because as I keep telling you guys, I really do think tokenization is massive. And this is the reason why. Tokenization can be used for so many different industries. It's got so many different purposes that can be tokenized. So you've got real estate, you've got art, you've got ID, you've got diamonds, you've got all these different things, like many things of value can be tokenized. And that's why I say tokenization is such a massive deal. And as you saw from this article, it could also be used in trade finance. And so this is just another reason as to why tokenization is so powerful and such a strong use case. And that's why I feel so strongly about tokenization and why I feel comfortable with Hedera. So it's really great to see that that's getting mentioned here, because it is something that I'm always trying to tell you guys and always trying to show you the true power of what tokenization can do. So let's just move on. The other thing that I just wanted to address was, how it seems that there's not really been that much adoption in regards to trying to turn things digital and, will this stuff really happen? I agree with what was said at the end. I don't think this can be stopped. I think it's inevitable that this is the way things are going to go, because it's just a natural evolution, right? It's like when you think about the internet, yeah? When you think about where the internet is now compared to where it was, let's say 5-10 years ago, it's completely different, right? We can even just look at YouTube right now as an example. When YouTube first came out, it's nothing like where it is now. A prime example is that people can monetize their content now. People can make careers out of YouTube. That wasn't possible before. But not even just that, just in terms of if you're uploading content to YouTube, the way you can edit videos and stuff like that, the features and the tools that they give you to help make your content much more friendlier and much more visually pleasing. Like, there's a lot of things that they've put out in terms of how they try to make people's videos better, right? And even in terms of the algorithm, right? There wasn't an algorithm before in how this all worked and how it supplies you the content that you will want to see, all that kind of stuff. This is all an evolution to get to where it is now. And YouTube will continue to evolve as time goes on. That's just a natural progression of things. That's how things go. So when you do look at this kind of stuff, like, it's inevitable, right? And, when I look at like the people who were saying that they prefer, documents, well, this is the thing. There's pros and cons to everything, right? There's pros and cons to absolutely everything. So while this may not be perfect, there's way more upside and way more pros to the cons of having paperwork. Like, for example, if you have paperwork, you could lose the paperwork, or you could spill coffee over the paperwork, which could pretty much make it unreadable. So there's many things that you can do with paperwork that could affect the actual documentation or just the process of using paperwork, right? So when you look at this in terms of it being digitalized, it's on a ledger, it's immutable, it can't be amended, and it's online, so it's just readily accessible. Now, back in the day, when you think about the internet and how you would actually connect to the internet, I can understand why you might have looked at that as a bit of a concern, because the internet wasn't as readily accessible as what it is now. But now we're constantly online. Right? Like, when do you ever hear people really say the internet's gone down? You may hear like a broadband provider's gone down, but you don't hear anything about like the internet itself just going down, do you? So our phones are constantly connected to the internet. Like, we've got many things that are constantly connected to the internet in this day and age. So this being online just makes it way easier, and there's no worries about like losing the documents and that kind of thing. Do you see what I'm saying? And so when they talk about, for example, how they're saying they want to kind of keep some of their data private, I can kind of understand that, but I think the thing is with that, I'm sure that they can actually put what the information is that they want to give away. I don't think they have to give the full information if they don't want to. They can say, like, this is a private transaction, but this is the amount and this is what took place, that kind of thing. But even if not, this is the thing. There's pros and cons to everything, as I was just saying. And my thing is with this technology is so revolutionary. They're not going to not do it just on that basis. It's just not a strong enough basis, because the upside to it is way better. Because just for one, look at how much money they're saving. It said in here it would be saving billions. So why would they not, on that basis alone, want to adapt? And the system at the moment is just outdated. It's just that simple. So it's going to inevitably get updated with how we've now got things like AI, we've got the online system, we've got crypto technology. It's natural that things are going to progress this way. That's just the way it goes. So the people who are kind of stuck in their ways, I understand it because that's what you're used to. But at the end of the day, things change. Things naturally progress. And I noticed that they said in regards to, will regulatory bodies accept this new form of trade finance that are being digitalized? I think they will. I think they will naturally, because again, it's just a natural progression. But I think this is why it takes as long as it takes in regards to getting this stuff happening. It doesn't happen overnight because it's such a big shift. This is a huge change in a system that's been going on for many, many years. So yes, I don't think they will just jump at this system and just say, yeah, we're just going to update this and we're happy with this technology now. No, because for one, the type of finances that we're talking about, if they just jumped onto this technology, right, without giving it the true testing and making sure that they're happy with it, what if something did go wrong? What if there was a flaw and they didn't foresee this flaw? This could end up losing them billions and really affecting the way the whole system works. So of course, they're not going to just jump at the first chance to change. They're going to want to make sure that it's been tried and tested. Yeah, they're going to want to make sure that it's been here for years. People are using it and seeing that they've got no issues. They're going to want to make sure that it's tried and tested. And once they feel comfortable that, yes, okay, many people have used this, it's been a success, they're happy with it, then yes, they will then jump over to it because they can feel comfortable that there shouldn't be any unforeseen circumstances that will disrupt the whole financial trade system. Do you see what I'm saying? So to me, I'm not really surprised that nothing has happened like as of right now, because we're still in the early stages of crypto technology. We're still in the very early stages of all this. So yes, it is going to take time, but to me, this is the inevitable step forward. This is going to happen. I do not see a way that this doesn't happen, in my opinion. So for me, it's great to see this because again, HBAR, Hedera has its place in this industry, another industry for them to revolutionize. And as I've said before, guys, like, they don't have to be the masters of this industry. As long as they're just getting a piece of the pie, it's all just adding to Hedera's utility. And when you're getting in these kind of industries that are dealing with billions and trillions, you get into a few industries like this, and that's all value flowing through HBAR. So obviously that's all going to add to the value. So for me, this is just great stuff to see. It's just another industry for Hedera to try and conquer. And I really look forward to seeing how they get along with this. But it can only mean positive things, in my opinion, for Hedera and HBAR overall. So if you guys do want to see this article, Hedera have posted it on their X profile. So if you just scroll and look for it, it's the Global Trade Finance article. It is a post on their profile, so you will be able to see it. You'll just have to scroll through. Very interesting article. It is quite long, but very interesting. So check it out if you guys want to know more. But what do you guys think? Hedera revolutionizing the global trade finance industry. Do you like the sound of this? Do you think Hedera can revolutionize the global trade finance industry? Do you think that this would be good for HBAR's price? Or do you not agree with this? Do you not think that Hedera can revolutionize the global trade finance industry? Or do you just not think that this would be good for HBAR's price overall long term? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.